Personnel Records Center in St. Louis has a backlog of nearly 500,000 requests from veterans looking for their own service documents. Can you believe that? Without these records, veterans can't access vital services such as getting COVID vaccines from the VA, their GI Bill education benefits, VA loans, medical benefits, burial benefits, disability compensation, life insurance, and a whole lot of other stuff. It's a big deal. Joining us to talk about this is Ohio Congressman Warren Davidson, who recently led a fact-finding mission to the NPRC. And Congressman, thank you so much for coming on. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for covering it, Rob.
Yeah, sure. So in addition to your visit to the NPRC, the Record Center, you also wrote a letter to the Biden administration. In the letter, co-signed by 185 members of Congress, including 60 Democrats, we should say, you wrote this: "We cannot allow our nation's veterans to die while waiting for a piece of paper to prove they are entitled to medical services. We cannot continue to abandon military families arranging burial services for their family members. The United States government must correct this injustice." This is a really big deal, what's happening here. Talk to us about it.
Yeah, look, I mean, America keeps its promises, especially to its veterans, and the National Personnel Records Center is a vital part of keeping those promises. And look, everyone understands after COVID there was an adjustment this time last year, and people were patient initially. The Record Center closed down March 23rd, and we started hearing about it maybe by the end of summer. Prior to COVID, there was a backlog. This is a center that's had struggles for a long time. It's a 6 million square foot warehouse,
Jeez.
4 stories high, packed with banker boxes. And so someone physically has to go get those records. Now, many of the more modern records are digitized, but 6 million square feet, 4 stories high, aren't digitized. Someone has to go pull those records. And they've fallen way behind. And Congress has talked to them, not just in this recent visit, not just in this letter, but in the fall, Congress sent a letter. And they said, we need resources. Okay, yeah. We gave them $15 million. And unfortunately, since that time, the backlog's only grown. So that was why, hey, I got to go get eyeball to eyeball with somebody and say, what's going on?
Yeah, your government at work. It doesn't surprise me. 15 million bucks. We also want to bring in, sir, hang on one second, Melissa Hoagland, who is the daughter-in-law of Jack Ray Hoagland, a Vietnam veteran who was unable to be buried with military honors due to not receiving the proper records in time. And Melissa, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
This really is very, very frustrating to anybody that loves this country. Tell us about your father-in-law's situation.
Well, he passed in December.
Yeah.
The funeral home couldn't get a hold of his records. We didn't have his discharge papers, so they weren't able to get a hold of anybody to get his records to have a military funeral. I didn't know that till after the fact, but that was the reason that he wasn't able to have one.
That's unbelievable. So you couldn't, and I mean, tell us about, I mean, in your family, your father-in-law's service, I'm sure that was a really big, important thing. And the burial of a veteran, yeah. I mean, that's a very, very big deal. To people out there that don't realize that, tell us about what it's like to miss out on something like that because of something this ridiculous.
It's just, it was very upsetting.
Sure. I can tell you cared a lot about him. Yeah. No, I can understand. Congressman, I mean, yeah, I'll give you a second because I understand. I totally understand. Congressman, talk about, I mean, there's a lot of families in this exact same situation. You watch somebody, they fought in a war, they defended this country, and then they don't get treated the right way by their government. We see this all the time. What needs to happen here?
Look, I was in the old guard as a lieutenant. I served, as a casket platoon leader. That's an incredibly sacred honor to be buried at Arlington. That is the most esteemed of our national cemeteries. But smaller ceremonies go on all over the country with a basic request. It's a basic ceremony that renders military honors to our veterans, and that is a big part of keeping our promises to our veterans. When I was at the Record Center, yeah. It wasn't just like one instance where this happened. These are requests that are happening all over the country, 500,000 requests. That represents over 1,000 requests backlog per congressional district. And I saw a record last Monday that was from January 19th for a World War II veteran. Now, this is for a funeral. This has to be turned around in a day or two. It can't be turned around in a month or two. And last Monday, it was just being pulled. So it's unacceptable to come up with a plan that says, hey, in 18 to 24 months from whenever this center gets fully staffed, that they can clear the backlog. So what that would mean is if they had full staff May 1st, you're looking at 2 years for a recent request. We have to change course on this.
Yeah, something absolutely needs to be done. Melissa, before we go, just real quick, what would you like people watching to know about your father-in-law?
Just that he was a really good guy and deserved better.
He definitely deserved better, absolutely. Melissa Hoagland, thank you so much. Ohio Congressman Warren Davidson, both of you guys, thank you so much for the time and for telling the story to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.